to the love that has laid hold of me. I'm holding on to the love that has laid hold of me.
Well, I've been talking to you about this wonderful gift that our Creator gave us that we call our mind. And it's the part of us that distinguishes us from all other animal life. It's the part of us that makes us the most like God. It said in the beginning, He made us in His image with all the capacities to experience and enjoy life that He Himself has. And a great component of that is our mind. Now, of course, I'm using it generically. It's your mind, emotions, will, reason, conscience, all these things interacting fluidly. I want to read you a portion of Scripture starting out today from the book of Colossians, Paul writing to Christ followers living in the city of Colossae in chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. It says, "Since then you have been raised with Christ, set your hearts on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things." So here in these two simple verses, we are first told to set our hearts, and the notion behind that is our deepest longings and deepest desires. We are told to set those on things above where Christ is ruling and reigning. That is the only condition that the deepest longings of a human being's heart and mind can be fulfilled, when the will of God is done in every situation for every individual all the time. But then it says, while we're still here on earth, to set our minds on things above, not on earthly things. Now, obviously, we have to pay attention to, earthly things. We have to function. We have to, go about our business. But it's saying that there's a bent that God says is possible for us and that He urges us to do. And it's to keep our minds, to keep our focus, to keep our perspective, that perspective that gives us our sense of governing reality, that perspective from which we derive our values, what matters, what doesn't matter, from which we make our decisions and so forth. We're to keep our minds on things above. Now, this requires, of course, for us to stimulate our minds. This is a command, so it's not going to happen automatically. So, the more that we have a clear picture of what life above is like, where God's will is done all the time, and there's total peace, there's no such thing as fear, sickness, sorrow, or death, and we focus on that, the more clearly we will have this frame of mind that is normal for humans to have, but it's so abnormal right now during this period where sin and sorrow, sickness and death are still being allowed. So the question is what is it that I am, you are, we are, knowingly or unknowingly setting our minds on? The default mechanism is we will allow our minds to be set for us. We will allow our minds to be distracted and set upon persons, places, and things. We will let the media govern our minds and our thoughts, and from that our feelings and so forth. So God is telling us, instead of being immersed in this world that is false and synthetic, though sophisticated and impressive, He says you've got to set your minds on the reality, the ultimate reality. It is the place where the will of God is done. That's the future. This era that we're living in, it has a short shelf life. And so we would do wise now to be setting our minds. Notice we've got to focus them and refocus them and do things to fill them with clearer and clearer pictures of what that life above, where God's will is done all the time, is like. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. FCF, I want you to remember to just keep on holding on to that love that laid hold of you.
I'm holding on to the love that has laid hold of me. I'm holding on to the love that has laid